Okay, perfect. Excellent. Hi, everyone. We're just giving a couple minutes for people to log in while the webinar gets set up, but hopefully you can hear our sound and see our screen. So we'll just give you a couple more minutes for folks to log in, and we will get started in just a moment or two. But thank you for being here on this sunny evening. It's still sunny outside, so it's lovely. All right. All right, looks like everybody who was in the waiting room is in, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. Um, Thank you so much for being here tonight. This is a virtual open house session just for the Cook Elementary community. So hopefully you're here from Cook Elementary School tonight. We're going to provide some information and some opportunity for questions about the City Center Catchment Review that's currently underway. And just a friendly reminder that the webinar is being recorded and that the recording will be sent, the link to the recording will be sent to all Cook families tomorrow. So just a reminder that that's happening. All right, as we come together this evening, I'd like to thank and acknowledge the First Peoples of the Hunkaminam language speaking group on whose unceded ancestral and traditional territories we teach, learn, and live. It's a beautiful evening out there. We have three folks with us tonight. There's three of us that'll be taking you through a series of slides and information to share with you about the City Center Catchment Review. It's my pleasure to introduce Cindy Wang, who is the Secretary Treasurer of our district. My name is Bronwyn Thompson. I'm an Assistant Superintendent. And we also have Jonathan Ho, who's the Director of the Richmond Project Team, who will be leading us through both of the scenarios that we're looking for feedback on in terms of City Center Elementary Catchment Review. Little shape of the evening. We're going to take a moment here just to do a little bit of housekeeping and show you some of the features on the Zoom webinar, just to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to listen to the information or see the information in a language of their choice, as well as we will give you a bit of information about how to use the Q&A feature in your on the Zoom webinar. Secretary Treasurer Wang will give you a little bit of background as to the purpose and the timeline of the City Center Catchment Review. We'll make sure you know how to provide feedback. And then Director Jonathan Ho will be taking us through some 3D renderings of what the Audlin Elementary School is anticipated to look like, as well as an overview of the two scenarios we're asking for feedback from parents and families on. And for those of you who have just logged in, just another reminder that this is being recorded, the entire webinar, and that a link to the recording will come to all Cook families tomorrow. Okay, so if you're at home on Zoom and you're either on your computer or you might be on a phone, if you'd like to enable closed captioning, on your toolbar, if you click on More, you should be able to find a caption setting. You might be able to see the screenshots on the PowerPoint slide. There is the ability, using our Zoom feature, to enable captions that will translate what we're saying into closed captions in a different language of your choice. So it won't translate the slides, but it will translate our presentation and our speaking for you. So please feel free to use these instructions here that are on your screen if you'd like to be able to translate what it is that we're saying. There's a multitude of different languages you can choose for the closed captionings. I'll leave that on just for a minute, just in case there's anyone who wanted to try it. And then the next really important feature we'd like you to feel comfortable using tonight is the Q&A function. And so on your Zoom toolbar, you should also, it might be hidden under the More button, but there is a feature with a question mark and it's called Q&A. And what you're able to do is you're able to type in your questions, and Jonathan, Cindy, and myself will be able to see those questions and we'll be able to respond to them as part of the webinar this evening. So we're going to do our best to try and synthesize the questions into common themes and try and answer them as we go through the presentation. If you type something into the Q&A that's very specific to your own child or your family, we obviously won't answer that live to protect confidentiality, but we'll do our best to try and answer any themes and questions that you pop in the Q&A throughout the evening. So at this point, I will turn it over to Secretary Treasurer Wang.
Thank you very much, Brown Thompson, Assistant Superintendent here for Richmond School District. And good evening, everyone. The Richmond School District, we're very excited to announce that the new City Center Elementary School will be opening at 8671 Allen Crescent in September 2026. As we get ready for this new school, we are reviewing the nearby school catchments to create a new school catchment for this new school. And we also want to balance enrollment and help with overcapacity at neighboring schools. We want to make sure our schools' resources and programs are used responsibly, and the district will endeavor to have students attend schools close to where they live. And we also, of course, we want to give families clarity on where their children will go to school. Ultimately, our goal is to make sure this new school is a great place for all students and a strong part of our community. So next slide, slide number 8. These are the key dates for the catchment review process, and they're outlined on the slide. The process has been launched just early September. Between September 3rd and October 27th, feedback will be gathered from the public and community. And in November, all public input will be reviewed and analyzed, and the decision will be made by the board by the end of November. So moving on to the next slide, the district is committed to making sure families and community members have clear information and meaningful ways to share their input. We've created several engagement opportunities to gather feedback and ensure it's reflected in the district planning and also the board decisions. All details and links are available on our website at sd38.bc.ca/city center catchment review. Each of the city center schools will also host a school-specific virtual open house to walk you through the details and answer questions. Today's open house is the first one of the 4 school-specific open houses. Also, we're going to offer an online survey. The online survey is already available on our website in both English and Chinese. So families, you can choose to provide your feedback through the language that are in your preferred language. And finally, we'll hold an in-person open house on September 16th at McNeil Secondary School, where community members, you're welcome to join us, and you can engage directly with our school district staff. So this is a quick overview of how the catchment review process will unfold. And I'm going to pause here to see if you have any questions specifically relating to the general process before we dive into the details about the new school.
At this time, Cindy, there's no questions yet, so I think we're ready to turn it over to Jonathan.
Great.
Right. Thank you, Secretary Treasurer Wang. The following renderings were developed by Trio Architecture and based on the building permit drawings that have been submitted to the City of Richmond. This is an exterior view of the school with a new color scheme that employs the same recent exterior paint colors of our elementary schools. This is the main foyer entrance to the school. These interior renderings show a typical classroom and the proposed library learning commons in a large open concept space. A typical classroom showing collaborative stations for students, millwork, and the whiteboard against which the teacher can project materials. In the library, you'll see that there are permanent bookshelves between the columns and along the wall, and rolling bookcases perpendicular to the length of the library. These rolling bookcases can be moved to create different learning environments. Right. With respect to new city center school catchments, the board is required by the School Act and policy to create a catchment for the new Allen Crescent School. To provide meaningful feedback, staff have worked on 2 scenarios for the public to provide input on. These scenarios were developed with both short-term and long-term planning in mind as the City of Richmond continues to build more residential units in city center. Feedback collected from the public on both scenarios will be reviewed by staff and provided to the board for their consideration when determining the Alden Crescent catchment and the revised catchments of the 4 affected city center schools of Breakhouse, Cook, Tolmie, and Tomset. All right, before we begin a review of the scenarios, this is a map of the existing city center schools and their catchments with the new school shown as a star. 8671 Alden Crescent is situated in the middle of the existing Tomset Elementary catchment and relatively near to our 4 city center schools of Breakhouse, Cook, Tolmie, and Tomset. Also shown are the utilization rates for our existing 4 city center schools for the 2025 school year just concluded and the projected utilizations for the 2026 school year without Alden Crescent's capacity accounted for. As you can see, Breakhouse, Cook, and Tomset are expected to be over capacity, while Tolmie is at near capacity in these projections. All right. Hold on. There you go. All right, the following is the proposed scenario for the new city center catchment. Scenario 1 has the Alden Crescent catchment that is going to be west of Garden City, north of Westminster Highway, east of Minaroo Boulevard, and along River Road, and south of Canby. Scenario 1 proposes adjustments to the existing catchments of Breakhouse, Cook, and Tomset to create the new school catchment. Tolmie catchment is not affected in this scenario. The western portion of the current Tomset catchment between Garden City, Lansdowne Road, Canby, and River Road would be allocated to the new Alden Crescent School. The northern portion of the current Cook catchment between Westminster Highway, Lansdowne Road, Minaroo Boulevard, and Garden City would be allocated to the new school. The northeast portion of the current Breakhouse catchment between Minaroo Boulevard, Number 3 Road, Westminster Highway, and Leslie Road would be allocated to the new school. Projected enrollment in 2026 for the proposed changes of Breakhouse, Cook, and Tomset catchments to the new school is shown in the yellow boxes, with the total projected enrollment at Alden Crescent at 294 students for that school year. This represents the students that live in the portions of Cook, Breakhouse, and Tomset catchments that would be eligible to attend the new city center school in 2026 should the board approve this scenario. A final adjustment would help balance the catchment between Breakhouse and Cook by reallocating a portion of the current Breakhouse catchment between Granville Avenue, Westminster Highway, Number 3 Road, and the residences between Minaroo Boulevard and Minaroo Park to Cook Elementary. In scenario 1, the northern portion of the existing catchment for Cook between Number 3 Road, Garden City, Lansdowne Road, and Westminster Highway would be reallocated to the new school. Scenario 1 projects 120 students in this area would be eligible to attend the new school in 2026. To help balance the changing catchment for Cook to the new school, a portion of the existing Breakhouse catchment, shown between Number 3 Road, Minaroo Park, Westminster Highway, and Granville Avenue, would be reallocated to Cook. Scenario 1 projects 10 students in this area would be eligible to attend Cook in 2026. Overall, Scenario 1 will result in the projected enrollments of all 5 schools as shown in the green highlighted numbers for 2026. For reference, the operating capacities of each school, not counting modular additions and portables, are provided. Projected enrollment for 2026 would put Alden Crescent at capacity, Tolmie at slightly below capacity, with Breakhouse, Cook, and Tomset expected to be over operating capacity. Note that when modular additions and portables are included, Breakhouse, Cook, and Tomset can meet our projected 2026 enrollment needs. This table shows the 2025 school year enrollment at Cook, Brickhouse, Tomset, and Tommy. Scenario 1 with Auckland Crescent shows that we are projected to be at near capacity for 3 of the 5 city center schools in the 2026 school year and over capacity at 2, again, not counting modular additions or portables. Our facilities planning staff have also looked at projected enrollment through 2030, and as you can see, all 5 city center schools will be over capacity if the Scenario 1 catchments are used. All right, that concludes the summary of Scenario 1. Before we move on to Scenario 2, are there any questions about the Scenario 1 changes to the catchments as outlined?
Jonathan, at this time, there's no questions submitted yet about the Scenario 1 proposal. So go ahead and continue, and we'll check in a few more slides.
Right, sounds good. Okay, so Scenario 2. Scenario 2 proposes the new city center school catchment to be west of Garden City, north of Ackroyd Road, east of Gilbert Road, along River Road, and south of Brown Road. This differs from Scenario 1 in that less of the existing Cook catchment is affected, a different section of the existing Brickhouse catchment is proposed, and a southern portion of the existing Tommy catchment is reallocated to the new city center school. Scenario 2 proposes adjustments to the existing catchments of Brickhouse, Cook, Thompson, and Tommy to create the new school catchment. The western portion of the current Thompson catchment between Garden City, Lansdowne Road, Canby, and River Road would be reallocated to the new Auckland Crescent School. This is the same as in Scenario 1. A portion of the current Brickhouse catchment in the northeast between Elmbridge Way and Ackroyd Road, Gilbert Road, Alder Ridge Way, and Number 3 Road would be reallocated to the new city center school. The northern portion of the current Cook catchment between Ackroyd Road, Lansdowne Road, Garden City, and Number 3 Road would be reallocated to the new school. A portion of the current Tommy catchment between Garden City, River Road, Canby, and the northern border running between Capstan Way and Sweet Avenue would be reallocated to the new school. This accommodates the expected enrollment growth spurred by the newly completed Capstan station on the Canada line. Projected 2026 enrollments for the proposed changes to Brickhouse, Cook, Thompson, and Tommy catchments is shown in the yellow boxes, with total projected enrollment at Auckland Crescent at 292. This represents the students that live in the portions of all 4 schools that are eligible to attend the new city center school in 2026. Focusing on Cook, Scenario 2 will have the portion of the existing Cook catchment between Ackroyd Road, Number 3 Road, Lansdowne Road, and Garden City reallocated to the new school. Scenario 2 projects 90 students in this area would be eligible to attend the new city center school in 2026, should the board approve this scenario. To help balance the change in catchment for Cook to the new school, a portion of the existing Brickhouse catchment shown between Number 3 Road, Mineral Boulevard, Ackroyd Road, and Granville Avenue would be reallocated to Cook. Scenario 2 projects 15 students in this area would be eligible to attend Cook in 2026. Overall, Scenario 2 will result in the projected enrollments of all 5 schools as shown in the green highlighted numbers. For reference, the operating capacities of each of the schools, not counting modular additions and portables, are provided. Projected enrollment for 2026 will put Auckland Crescent at near capacity, Tommy at below capacity to accommodate projected future enrollment growth, while Brickhouse, Cook, and Thompson are expected to be over capacity. Note that when modular additions and portables are included, Brickhouse, Cook, and Thompson can meet our projected 2026 enrollment needs. This table shows the 2025 school year enrollment at Cook, Brickhouse, Thompson, and Tommy, as we showed for Scenario 1. Scenario 2 with Auckland Crescent shows that we're projected to be at near capacity for 2 of the 5 city center schools, in the 2026 school year and just over capacity at 3. Our facilities planning staff have also looked to the projected enrollment through 2030, and as you can see, all 5 city center schools will be over capacity if the scenario 2 catchments are used. All right, at this point, I'll pause to see if there are any questions about scenario 2.
At this time, there's no questions yet about scenario 2, but there might be some folks typing. A question came in just talking about a question about the implementation of once the map is decided, how will this work for families? So I'll turn that over to you, Jonathan, or Cindy, to answer if you like.
Sure. I'll start. So the intention of this process is to focus on the proposed boundaries and map. The implementation plan will be determined alongside feedback and once the map is determined.
Awesome, thank you. So while folks are maybe typing in some questions, if there were questions about the map or any of the projections that Jonathan shared, we just wanted to redirect folks to the timeline in terms of please take some time to give some feedback. And the way you can do that, again, is through the survey that is located on the district website. The QR code here on this slide will take you there if you're on a mobile device. Or the link here in the slide, as well as this was included in the email invitation to this meeting that you received. There's lots of opportunity on the online survey where there's open text box that you can provide your feedback, questions you have, considerations you'd like the planning department and all of the folks who are involved in this process to consider and present to the board. You are also able to submit more than one survey. So if you have some thoughts now, and then maybe in a couple of weeks, you've rethought about something and want to add something else, please go ahead and put that in. Every survey received will be, as Cindy mentioned, will be considered and compiled in terms of the feedback. And it's really important to hear from folks from the Cook catchment. You saw how the 2 scenarios really have just a different southern border, the 2 possible scenarios that we'd love your feedback on. Both looking at the projections for now and into the future. So Jonathan, we really appreciate the way that you articulated both sort of the short-term projections and then looking ahead, if those 2 scenarios were implemented, what would that look like in City Center? That was very, very helpful. We have one more question here. Just a question, just looking a little bit about, again, talking about implementation, a question just potentially about might there be after school care available at the new site? I think that's an excellent question. So before and after school care, Cindy, did you want to take that one?
Sure, certainly. Thank you for the question, Tracy. In the new center school, we certainly have considered, currently we're going through the planning for renovation of the building, and certainly we have considered before and after school care in the new city center school building. And definitely once the board made the decision of the new catchment, we will work with families to on these specific considerations, including school care.
Excellent, thank you so much. So I'll just highlight, while we give a few more moments, if there's any other questions that folks want to ask based on the maps. Next week, we will add this slide deck also onto the website that you can, so you can revisit the visuals that Jonathan shared with us tonight. If you'd like to come connect with us in person, please feel free to come to McNeil next week on Tuesday night. We'll be at the McNeil Secondary Rotunda, which is right when you walk in the door. McNeil Secondary is just over on number 4 Road. We'd love to meet you in person. If you'd like to come look at some of the maps in person and ask some more detailed questions, we'd be really happy to receive your feedback that way as well. So feel free to engage with us in whichever way works for you. At this point, that's the conclusion of the information we were hoping to share with you tonight. So again, I'll turn it over to my colleagues if there's anything they'd like to add. I'm not seeing any new questions coming in yet, but we'll give folks another minute. If there's anything, Jonathan or Cindy, you wanted to add before we close the evening.
Nothing on my side to add. Just happy to answer any questions that might come up.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, yes, sorry. McNeil will be at 6:30 next Tuesday. All of the information we're sharing with you about the survey or the open houses that are coming up is all available on our district website. So when you go to sd38.bc.ca right now, there's a banner right on the homepage that says City Center Catchment Review. And if you click on it, you'll get all the information. Thank you so much. All right, folks. Well, I think we will wrap up. So once again, if you enjoyed this the first time around, you're welcome to watch the recording when it comes to your email box tomorrow. Please make sure you tell a friend or a neighbor to tune in and take a look. And we'd be very interested in their feedback through the survey, or they're welcome to come out next week. We will also do another virtual night on the September 17th. If you'd like to come back and ask another question through the Q&A at that point, you're very welcome to do so. All right, well, we will end the webinar in just a moment, but just want to thank you again for coming. Appreciate you giving up time in your evening, and wishing you all the best for the school year ahead with your kiddos at Cook. So have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.